what I will do is a recap because I believe Lero May and Bo weren't here last game,
That's right.
and while we wait to
No, I saw a tragedy happened.
right, while
But
we wait to see if Lena and RPG's new character, since he lost one, they were supposed to be here. I saw them on earlier today, but we'll see. I'll do a recap just for you too, because they were here last week. So last week we picked up where we had left off. The company had finished a battle with cultists in a meeting room, eating room. They were throwing dice and playing cards, and they had entered the room and for combat, really, because they were there for revenge. At that point, they had lost Katarina, and they chased a single cultist out of the room into the next room, and he surrendered because he couldn't get away, but Lyra May and Bo and essentially everyone dispatched him without any discussion, regardless of him giving up. At that point, they decided to return, and Rigmer placed Katarina's body on the table and arranged her hands over her body and her bow with her, and they continued. They continued searching for the high priestess, and they came to a room with and opened the thick stone doors and entered a room. It had this red gem that was embedded in the floor with a collar of stone around it, and they found a cage with a woman prisoner who was tied up, and also a giant spider that was chained to the floor. Everyone who came in that room heard a voice from the giant spider asking to be set free, and that if they did so, their names would be sung to the mother. Jorel entered in last, and as Jorel entered in, he cast a spell called Witch Sight, and the magic of that spell triggered the magical trap, essentially, or awoke the gemstone. Both doors shut and locked, and these two burning glyphs appeared above the lintels of the door frames, and the red gem started to pulse. Every time it pulsed, they would take corruption. It was seeding their bones and their flesh with corruption and darkness. Rigmar decided to free the woman, broke the cage lock, and eventually ripped the shackles down and broke them with a feat of strength, while the company tried to figure out how to get out of this trapped room. They attempted to batter the gemstone, but had poor luck, really. The gemstone is set into the stone of the floor, and it was hardened and very difficult even to chip pieces off. But that's how they started, Jorel and Lirome. Bo went to the other door frame and tried to push open this giant stone door and battered himself against the stone door, but Bo couldn't really get the stone door to budge. Eventually, Jor-El realized that he had a scroll of break binding, and that the glyphs above the door were tied to the gemstone in the floor that would pulse out, and everyone would take corruption damage and darkness into their bones and flesh if they couldn't withstand the pressure of that stone. Jor-El cast the spell from the scroll, disintegrating the scroll, which unlinked the glyph above Bo's door to the stone, and Bo was able to push it open. While this was happening, the new woman, Lena, decided, for reasons of her own history, that she was going to kill the spider, and she shot a few arrows at the spider that missed, but the spider, realizing that it was going to be killed anyways, broke free of its chains in a last effort and then attempted to attack Lena. Rigmar, standing next to her, defended her and was able to dispatch the spider. When the glyph lost its power because of Jor-El's breaking of its binding, everyone tried to run out of the room. Bo ran out first because he pushed open the door. Jor-El tried to run but fell and skidded on the ground onto his belly and against his face. Lirame vaulted over Jor-El and got outside the room. Lena ran outside the room, and Rigmar picked up Jor-El from the ground to propel him outside the door. Unfortunately, at that time, they just didn't get out fast enough. And although Jor-El could withstand the pressure of the stone's last pulse, or as it was still pulsing, Rigmar could not, and he took more corruption into his body and soul. Eventually, what happened is Jor-El tried to close the door because it was still open, seeping corruption out. Rigmar reached over and slammed the door shut, at which point he succumbed to his corruption and became an abomination. The group, although reluctant, understood what had to be done, and Bo, Lirame, the new woman, Lena, and Jor-El ended what was left of Rigmar's life, even though Rigmar was no longer within his body because he had become an abomination. As Lirame, Bo, and Jor-El dealt with the loss of Rigmar because he fell after Bo or Lirame hit him one last time, ending his bodily life. He fell over backwards and then tumbled over the edge of the walkway down into the dark abyss, and they watched him fall. And as they took a moment to collect themselves, Lena snuck down and found the priest and his two plate mail guardians in a somewhat natural cavern attached to the complex. She snuck back and told the group, and without Rigmar, the four of them proceeded to find if they can enact their revenge. They snuck back down into the cavern, and Lena snuck in first because she was stealthy and quiet, and then Bo, Lirame, and Jor-El, realizing that there's no way they could sneak in, they just rushed the cavern and attacked the high priest and his guardians. The fight was difficult. Jor-El took intermittent control of his guardians, and in the end, both Lirame and Bo were laid low and unconscious on the ground. And in a last-minute effort, the high priestess, who was near mortally injured, killed his own guardian and escaped. Unwilling to leave Lirame and Bo to die on the floor, and realizing they didn't have long to revive them before death may take them, the Jor-El and Lena had to stay and allow Bo and Lirame to recover. And that's where we ended it. Any questions, or how did that sound, Jor-El?
That sounded good. There was a lot of really bad rolls and flubs and snafus. People tripping, falling over.
There was some
People
peril.
standing around. Yeah, people just sort of standing around, kind of dim-witted as well. It was what I mean by that is like
almost as
he
if
didn't-
we were actually there.
yeah. Yeah. No, it would have been a lot more effective. I mean, I think, Gene didn't want to run your characters like fully fledged
Right.
all with it. So we kind of had to tell him stuff, and it was just like, no, Bo, like try to open the door, use your head, and it was like, oh my god, is he gonna start bashing it with his head now? Like, it was pretty funny.
I did roll for your characters, but I did slightly fade them into the background, or I forgot certain things like Lear May's, you know, uh, hammer spell and that sort of thing. Um, I try not to get them killed. That was a main thing. Although they both nearly died at the end.
Yeah, it was sounding like Lyra May spent a lot of time napping.
The last battle really kind of went back and forth. Jorel would take control of or bind one of them, and intermittently lose control. The high priestess cast insect boil on Jorel and other spells that he lost control of at certain periods of time because he took damage, and then he cast this shield spell that protected him from melee and range weapons, so only some of them got through. And at the end, he really did flee, just hanging on life. And the rolls and the dice were in his favor when he killed his guardian. But at that point, Jorel had lost control of the other one, so the other one could act as a bulwark. Jorel knew that when he took over those guardians, there was nothing in there. They were just flesh. There was no soul or mind left. They were thralls of the high priestess. And that's where you all find yourself. And so you're in this cavern. Lyra May and Bo, are recovered. You wake up with Jorel and the new woman Lena standing over you, having healed you with magic. And you've lost a high priest, at least for the moment. Rigmer is lost forever. He's tumbled down into the deep darkness, and Lena is still laid out on the table. And so we'll give a second for RPG for a minute.
It's just arrived.
Right. They're probably going to connect. And
Yeah.
RPG, is Anne going to come connect? They probably got to get their audio together anyways in a minute.
Yeah, and the wizard the guy who got away, we're calling him Half Moon because that's the tattoo that he has. We don't even know his name. That rat bastard.
Yeah, and Jorel would know that he obviously has an ability to track him, especially now that they've
True.
met them again
Yeah.
on this side of the water. RPG,
Yep.
are you there?
I am.
Is Anne coming?
Sounds like he's in bed. He's still in bed.
Is Anne coming? We need to wait for her.
Yeah, she's coming. She's just getting something to drink.
All right. We'll give her a couple of minutes. And so, although RPG's new character hasn't been introduced yet, the group is in this cavern, and the high priestess has escaped. It's probably been half an hour, 45 minutes. What would you consider doing?
Well, whatever we do, we have to go back and grab Katarina's body, take her back out, I think. And then we had to just decide as a group what we want to do.
Well, I would think we would want to try to track the high priest.
That's one vote for priest.
Or just let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, that would be the question. Um, you know he's really injured. You know he has to escape probably somewhere close. You're in the middle of Davokar. It's still the middle of the night. You've lost Rigmar and Katarina, although you picked up a new person, Lena, who may have her own desire to hunt him down. Would you give up now uh, with the loss of Rigmar and Katarina? Or would you pursue him to the end, to enact this
I would think,
vengeance?
yeah, I would think we would pursue.
I cannot imagine Lero giving up on an opportunity to hunt down some darkness peddling heretic.
So, Jorel,
Yeah, that's my vote too. I
would
think we track him and kill him.
okay, and so the what you would do first is collect Katarina's body and go back up topside, I assume.
Yeah, I think we would give her a proper burial or whatever that it entails. I guess I don't know. She was an Ambrian, right? So, I mean, we've already. You said it's been about 45 minutes, I guess. So the guy is gone. Uh, yeah, we just want to give her a proper burial. Like he can't get very far. We'll get back on his trail.
So you collect Katarina's body, uh, the four of you, Bo, Lirame, Jorel, and Lena, and you go back out of the shrine or the temple, this old temple on the rock face. You proceed back up to the ruins, to the surface with her. You're on this pillar of basalt or stone rising out of the depths on the edge. You had come across a broken bridge with boards. Would you What would you do as you got topside?
Well, would we be familiar with the kind of um, practice to put her, like, do we inter her in the ground or do we
I think it's cremation.
burn her?
Burner. The reason you would
Yeah, I thought it was a cremation.
yeah, I think most of you would probably consider burning her or making a beer to burn her upon, because coming out of Albertor, the historical remnants of that war with the Dark Lords is that dead things don't stay dead, and you end up fighting your friends and legionnaire mates again unless you burn their flesh so they can't rise. And I think the vast majority of Ambrians burn their dead, at least at all possible, unless they can't. Only the rich
Right.
put their dead into a mausoleum. Everyone else burns them, probably still to this day, because of the history of Albertor and needing to escape that blighted land and the 20 plus, 40 plus years of war with the Dark Lords and the dead armies they had to fight against.
So let's build a beer and then light her up
Okay,
and then get back on the trail.
that's perfectly
Yep.
reasonable. Does it, as you're collecting the wood for the beer, you'll probably burn her here up on the top of the ruins on the stone. You kind of collect wood, probably go back into the forest a little bit. You find as you approach the bridge that the boards, you see the boards have been pushed across and left there. You realize that the high priest must have been in pretty bad shape not to pull the boards back on the other side. He just pushed them as fast as possible and ran across them, probably figuring that you'd be hot on his tail. not understanding that you would wait to collect Katarina, and he left the boards there in his need to rapidly escape. And so you see the boards across the broken bridge and collect wood to pile up on high for Katarina's burial mound, set her on top and light it on fire. Jor-El, do you say any words as the flames start to lick up into the sky? It is the middle of the
Yeah,
night
I'd say
still.
like I would say a few words if nobody else had anything to say. I'm not going to role play it because I don't know what. I'd probably repeat something that I've heard Father Sarvola say in one of his missals. Just something in one of his sermons or something like that. But I think you know what? It would actually probably be it would have a bit of a fire and brimstone kind of. It'd be a rousing kind of funerary kind of thing. I would say, like something about putting our friend to rest, but we're bent on revenge, and we won't stop until we get the infernal.
So you're trying to like
bastard.
Not just put her to
Inspire
rest,
us.
but yeah, you're instill the company with fortitude and courage and desire to hunt down this. Correct?
Yeah, I think a burning desire for revenge is the one
Okay.
the kind of
What-
what I'm going for.
Driving force.
Yeah.
What I would have you do is to roll a resolute. And if you roll high enough, because resolute's the main skill of you as a thurge, you will impart some benefit which your company may need.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's a
Yeah.
that's a fantastic roll. And
Fire and brimstone.
right. Your sermon is fantastic. You don't say the common burial themes, Prios themes. You probably err on the side of brimstone and force and power of the light. And even if they don't believe in Prios, even if they don't have that religious inclination, just the tone of your voice seeds the rest of the company. And all of them, even though Lena just knows you, Lena, Bo, and Lirame can take advantage on any single roll they want while they're hunting down the high priest. It doesn't matter if it's a combat or a skill or anything.
Sounds good.
They can take advantage on a roll because of Jor-El's words. Does
And
Bo? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say a few words, probably not even close to the eloquence that he displayed.
Yeah. Okay. How about Lirame? Do you say anything?
A bit of a a more standard prayer for Prios kind of deal. He's definitely not as smart as Jor-El, but if there's one thing up in his noggin, it's that Prios stuff, and he probably does have like the normal funeral literary. Yeah.
He probably has a more noble words. What they say at nobles, like at mausoleums and that sort of thing. In his background, not the general public. I would assume he's been to a body burning, but he's more used to more used to a procession, into burial grounds than necessarily, beers and burnings and multiple. Lena,
But
go ahead.
he is very Prios obsessed. So even if his own background is probably more um, actual mausoleums, there's a pretty good chance he sat down and memorized the words to say at a funeral because Lero has fun.
Lena, you're up there with them as they collect and build this.
Gene?
Yeah. Oh, my fault. Sorry, Lena. You're there. You're there with them. They have freed you from the cage. You attacked the spider for probably reasons of history. You battled with them against the high priestess who had somewhat enslaved you over these last few weeks. And this company is bent on tracking him down to avenge the loss. And you may not understand the back history of them, but does Lena say anything as they're burning Katarina's body?
Um, Lina will pay, even though she doesn't know Katrina, he will pay her respect and silently pray for her.
Okay. So you see the flames licking up. Go
And
ahead. Go ahead, Lena. Sorry.
Lena will travel with the group.
Okay.
That's it. Lena will travel with the group.
Okay. So Jorel's words kind of die off into the bright light of the fire. The fire engulfs Katarina completely. Little sparks fly up into the dark night. It is still pitch black in the nighttime because you had started this foray for vengeance into the temple at night, and it's still night. How would you proceed to track down this high priest?
Heretic's Trail.
Okay. And so would you cast that, Jorel?
Yeah, you know what? I think I would. Yeah, I would cast it. It's nighttime. You said I will cast it before going to bed, kind of thing. I think we are going to rest, or I'm pretty beat up. I think most people are beat up, but
right. You are all kind
I will
of
cast it.
You are pretty injured. Heretic Trail lasts quite some time, and so is the party going to rest there by the fire as opposed to venturing out into dark Davokar while they're injured, or does the seeds of vengeance just burn too hot that they forego that sort of thing?
Injured? What is that?
Right, I suggest that we press on. The sooner we catch up, the better. And I think that, since it's a singular person, that the engagement should be, I would hope, a minor engagement of battle.
Yeah, but not at night, right? Nobody wants to go at night in the forest, do they? Or do we?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I give the okay. Maybe not everybody.
Yeah.
You're the leader of this
There is no
outfit.
need to fear the dark.
Both Bo and Lirame were healed down in the grotto, down in the ancient tempo by Lena and Jorel, and so they're not nearly as beat up. The only one who's significantly still injured is Jorel himself.
Yeah, I'll be fine. I was more worried about traveling at night, but that's okay. I think we had a flame sword, and I've got that shiny rock thing that glows. And
Jorel, you may want to look at your present health.
yeah, so I'm gonna heal myself. But let me do the Heretic's Trail first, and we can do it on the go.
Yeah. Okay.
And remember that over time, my wounds heal.
How do I roll this thing? How do I roll?
Yeah, I
Oh, it
don't.
won't let me target somebody. Is that why?
I don't know if. Let me see if I target myself, if that matters.
I can't roll it unless I.
You roll a resolute test. All you got to do is roll a resolute. It says.
Okay.
It doesn't. It doesn't really talk about you having to roll like a spell test, and taking corruption. Mm-hmm.
No, but it's still. You would still take corruption. I mean, it's still a spell, right? Like,
It's a ritual, isn't it? Heretic's Trail.
oh yeah, it's a ritual too.
Yeah,
So
so
it
it
does take time.
does take time. Jorel, you are by the fire, and you make preparations to cast Heretic's Trail, but you're running on empty. You're still bleeding. You're barely able to keep your feet. You might even fall to your knees now and then as you're making outlines and reciting the ritual to yourself, and you fail. Probably because of your injuries. Now, because of your speech, I would let you re-roll it as because I didn't tell you to take advantage on that roll. I would let you re-roll it again and use your advantage, because you should get an advantage too from your own rousing speech. Or you can wait a day and see if the others find the trail on their own.
No, I'll re-roll it then.
Okay.
Of note, since we're in Davokar, you have a second chance to fail Heretic's Trail, like the last paragraph.
Well,
Oh, what?
So, just reading
Oh,
Heretic's
yeah.
Trail. Yeah. So you can try and
Order to
track them
drink.
once a day.
Light-stricken creatures.
Harder to track them in large settlements than in Davokar.
Oh, well, you gotta wait. Okay. Okay. So what do I roll with this favor or?
no, what I would do is you are going to use your advantage. They would have canceled each other out probably. And but the way we could do it is you could roll twice and see if both of them. You have to have a success at both of them.
Okay.
If you use the advantage of your speech.
Yeah, I'm gonna use it. So I would roll again with disfavor. Is that what that is, or?
Yeah, I think it is disfavor. Let me pull up resolute. Right, I think disfavor will roll it twice and take the lowest.
Should I just? Okay, I can just roll it and see.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that.
Oh, there we go. A 1 and a 2.
Yeah, Jorel, you stumble a bit in the ritual. Everyone's taking a rest as Katarina's fire is billowing into the sky. You probably pause here and there, shaking off the fatigue and difficulty of your wounds. And then you redouble. Maybe the words you said kind of kindle inside you with that 1 and a 2, and you redouble down, and you can see the tracks of the high priest. The ritual probably takes you 3-4 hours, because that's generally how long rituals take. And so just as you're finishing, the sky is just barely gray, and lightening up. Dawn is maybe an hour or so away. What do you say as you finish the ritual?
I'll say, I have him. Quick! You must not. There's no time to waste. I need some dramatic music, and we just go. And as we go, I'm going to start doing some lay on hands on myself kind of thing. Because I'm in rough shape.
Yeah, Jorel, who's kind of sickly to begin with, dragging behind the back of the group as he's trying to cast, healing hands on himself. Leo, May, and Bo are probably up in front.
Yep.
Oh, there's more corruption.
Yeah, that's a terrible roll.
Okay.
Did you roll 20?
Twice.
What?
What are the chances?
Yeah, Jorel,
One
you just can't do it.
in 400.
Right. You try as Bo and Lyra May, and you're kind of shouting out directions, telling them where to turn. You guys are essentially moving or running or moving at a quick pace along the edge of this huge kind of depression and hole that just disappears down into the depths of Davokar as the sun is just barely starting, and you're giving directions to Bo and Davokar while you're trying to keep your footing and drag your wounded leg behind you, and you try to cast twice. You try to really heal yourself, and you just can't do it. The exhaustion, and you won't be able to cast that spell this day.
I don't remember reading that in the rules anywhere, Gene.
Yeah, I'm looking at those 220s going,
20s.
Yeah. I'm looking at those 220s going, that's pretty terrible. You are traveling along the edge of the hole, this huge hole that's kilometers across. You see pillars of rock rising just along the edge, but the center of it is completely black. There's nothing rising from the depths. And you then see this kind of pillar rising up out, with ruins on top, and they're kind of flattened, and there's this kind of stone bridge across it, and there's a figure lying on the trail towards that bridge. Bo and Lyra may probably see him first, or see the figure as you're running along this kind of edge, following these invisible tracks that Jorel is pointing out. What does Bo do?
I would continue with the pace as quick as possible, I think, but I have my head on a swivel. Even though we're just in pursuit of one person, we don't know what's out there, obviously.
Yeah, so Bo, you have your head on the swivel. You're looking forward. You see this other pillar of stone and kind of this bridge that goes across to it. Jorel can probably see the tracks in the distance. They're kind of like light steps that he can see that goes towards that and then disappears somewhere along that pillar. Mm-hmm. And you see this body along the trail in front of you about 10 meters or 30 feet.
Mm-hmm. Now, do we have any moonlight at all, or is it like a new moon?
The sun is rising.
You have light.
Yeah, the sun is
rising.
rising.
Well.
Oh, okay.
See? We have light.
Yeah. You also have his sun mask, but the sun is rising, so eventually that sun mask is going to, you're not going to need it.
Okay. I'll approach with caution.
Okay.
Obviously.
You just see a man dressed very well, looks Ambrian, still has his weapons, but has some blotches of blackness on it, and on its on his arms and on its necks, you see like boils that have burst out of him. And Jorel would recognize them because they're the same kind of wounds he had when the high priestess cast larval boil on him. The figure is somewhat unconscious. This is actually RPG's new character. RPG, I would have you roll a d12 for me, please.
Jean,
Yes?
can I try to heal your health?
Sure, you can try to heal Jorel. As you stop and Bo is investigating this figure on the ground who's semi-conscious. RPG, why don't you introduce your character? You have six toughness left of your original.
All right.
Be right back.
Okay.
Somebody's ringing the doorbell.
Yeah, so on the ground, as you approach, you'll see an Ambrian, as Gene said, dressed in finer clothing, the boils oozing, his in and out, moaning of the pain there. He said it's semi-conscious. So as you approach, I think he would probably say, "Oh, please be the good one, not the bad one." Whoever is approaching, I could use the help. May the Queen blessings be upon you if you're good. If not, I hope you prepare to die.
Now, how did he run into the high priest? What was he doing out here near in this area that has a number of perhaps ruined temples? What's his perhaps reason for unfortunately coming across the wounded high priest and not seeing him in the forest?
Well, I think he was on the trail of something else, and maybe they just kind of crossed paths. And being a cultist, especially a cultist on the run, probably took me as a threat when I wasn't.
Yeah, the high priest perhaps saw you somehow or got lucky, and he cast larval boil and then a curse, which a curse upon you that you lost your ability to move, even to breathe short term, and he just stepped over you and continued on his way. He was very wounded, dragging himself down the pathway when he laid you partially low. And as the group comes upon you, that curse, inability to move, or he's taken your muscular coordination away, is lessened and lessened, and you're able to kind of sit up.
I think I'd look at Bo and be like, "So which one are you, the good or the bad?"
Oh, I've drawn no weapons on you, so I think that's a quick answer for you.
Well, praise be the Queen. At least a good, familiar face, Ambrian at that, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Well,
So what?
if you're welcome to travel with us, there's safety in numbers.
True,
Bo's
true.
kind of impressed with his threads.
Yeah, I think you're a noble as well, right?
I was working on it. Remember, Gino was trying to be a squire.
Lear May is standing next to Bo, who's uh, has noble lineage. As Bo and this new Ambrian sits up, uh, what does Lirame do or say?
Um, uh, so Diego, is that how you say it? Diego?
Diego.
Diego. Um, he's clearly a noble, isn't he? Because Lyra is
Clearly.
dressed more kind of in like priestly acolyte gear. Um, anyone familiar with Ambrian naming convention would know that the May suffix on the name means he's from a noble family, but he's more priest than things. So he definitely helped Diego up, and but since his 18th birthday, he's evidently not actually who he thought he was. He's been not always so eager to put himself forward as a noble of Ambrian descent. The pointy ears say he's not.
Yeah, so
He's very sad.
I don't know if Diego would see that. So roll cunning for me to see if Diego can tell that you are a changeling at the moment.
You want him or me to roll?
No, that's for Lirame. You could choose Diego and roll against him, but yeah, that's gonna. Yeah, so
That is the wrong character. That's the one that's actually smart.
right, you could. Right. I'll just delete Candu here.
Yeah, I saw the picture and I was like, wow, Larry, you changed.
You go into the forest, you start lifting trunks and things like that. It's making them gains.
So Diego, while you're there, Lyra May picks you up or helps you up, and you know that his name is Ambrian nobility, but you also look at him and can tell that he's a changeling. Do you say or do anything about that?
Oh no, noble squabble does not happen amongst the peasantry. I'd wait to a more private opportunity to inquire about such things.
Okay. And as you meet Diego, what would you tell him about where you're going and what you're doing? I'm sure Diego might tell you about how he came low, but I would ask how that kind of happens. Like, what would you tell him?
On the trail of a filthy, Prios blasted heretic who was causing harm to good potential citizens of our righteous queen.
Aye, yes. I did run afoul of that man who crossed my path just a little while ago. They've waylaid me for my current course. Needless to say, I would definitely like to inquire, about his presence again.
Does the group?
He's certainly one that we should put before Prios to judge.
Does the?
Aye. Who knows? Who knows what information we might gather from him as well?
Do you give any indication of how dangerous this may be, Lirame?
Um, Lork, the player, uh, lacks the experience of last week knowledge of
Right.
how dangerous this could be. Um, Lirame, the idiot, is chasing down a fleeing heretic.
Okay.
And like Diego got zapped by this guy. He clearly knows he is a theoretical threat. So and he's volunteered to come.
Right. I think, Diego, as you're rising up talking to Bo and Lirame, and you see Jor-El behind them, and you see this female archer start to tend to Jor-El's wounds. Jor-El is obviously in pretty bad shape, but he's still on this trail of this heretic priest, this cultist high priest that you learn of, that Diego would get a sense that there is a degree of anger and vengeance in this group hunting down, that it's more than just hunting down a cultist, that they're willing to travel and to the sunbreak on this high priest trail, even when one of their number is drastically wounded. As you stand up and kind of greet them, the sun rises over Davokar, and Jor-El looks, and he can see the trail over this kind of bridge that leads to a flat plateau granite plain that probably was a similar temple complex in the past, but is now completely flattened. You can see from here that there's kind of a dark square hole in the center of this platform, and you can see nothing else. What would the present company do?
Does Jor-El see the trail leading into that hole?
Yeah, he receives some treatment from Lena. It's minor though. He's still bloodied. He's still weak, and Lena has trouble healing him much because of how difficult his wounds are. But he looks down at the top of that plateau, and he can see, even though it's in the distance, he sees the bright pinprick of those trails that he can see with his eyes, even though you can't see it, and they disappear in the center of that plateau.
Lirame is of the opinion that we found their new lair, and maybe we should take the second to pause and regroup and all that kind of jazz before plunging into the depths again. We're under Prios's light, it's daytime and all that stuff, so not quite under so much immediate risk. And Jor-El can spend a bit of time praying to Prios to fortify himself and probably help Diego recover as well before we tackle the depths.
Okay. Would you descend, follow the trail towards the bridge and approach the plateau, cross the bridge and plateau, or would you stay at the foot of the bridge and not enter the plateau? Where would you try to recover before potentially descending into the depths again?
Does it look like there's another way off the plateau?
No. It's this rising pillar of rock, which is completely flat on top, except for stones that outline, what habitation may have been there in ancient times, and this black square in the middle. The stone bridge that leads over is fairly intact, unlike the past bridge where you had to kind of jump or use boards to get across. But you see no other entrance or exit. As the sun rises and silhouettes that rising stone pillar from the depths, you don't see any other causeways or bridges further down, as far down as you can see. The sun isn't very high, but you just don't see any exits. You don't see any openings. You don't see any stone windows further down. You see no other way in or out as far as you can tell.
And probably on the actual solid ground side of the bridge rather than crossing it.
Okay.
Just because I'm sure I was a sickly old man and would cough up a lung and fall off.
Bo, how does that sound to you? Staying on this side of the bridge,
Well, do we have an idea that this is an established lair, or do we think that he just happened upon this? Like, do we know of their history of being able to establish lairs, at stepping stones or
you don't know.
close proximity?
You don't know anything at the moment necessarily. Jorel does tell you that the tracks led straight there, as if the high priest knew where he was going. He didn't deviate. He turned directly that way. There's no side tracks. He didn't pass it on the ridge and come back and decide. But
Right.
you have no idea.
Right, but we could tell it was very deliberate, right?
Yeah, he made a beeline, or he made a run to perhaps find some place in safety, thinking you would attempt to follow him in some fashion. He has no idea how you found him in the first place.
Yeah, so I think we probably should rest. If I can keep watch.
Yeah. If there's having seen there's no other exits, that's why Lyra Maze. We have the beast cornered, and we should sharpen our swords and all that.
Okay, so
I keep saying and all that. I've said that like 5 times.
The party follows a trail to the base of the bridge. It's a short stone bridge that looks like it was a natural causeway or natural stone bridge connecting the pillar to the edge of this giant abyss. And it was at some point probably bricked over or tiled over. It has, sideways or columns on either side that have broken off. And the causeway itself is pretty thick. And so it didn't, the tail of time haven't broken it away. As you maybe set up camp, or at least settle there at the base of this bridge before crossing, Lena, do you look across the bridge, you see these kind of outlines of rooms, but there's really just a bare minimum of stone left where those buildings must have been. You see this dark square in the center of the plateau. Bo and Lyra begin to take a rest, and so does Jorel. What does Lena do? Does she do anything specific?
Can Lena, before that, can Lena do a lay on hands on Diego and Lena herself?
Sure. you want to lay on hands on yourself and Diego, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you approach Diego, he hasn't met you necessarily. Um, what happens? How does that happen? How does Lena approach him? Does she just, grab him and do her stuff? Or how does she approach this new, finely dressed man who's obvious nobility and attempt to heal him?
So Lena will go and talk just a little to Diego, and just paying it forward. The Rigmer heals me or helped me before, so I'm just doing it for you to help you heal.
Well, fair lady, that's a very nice idea there. Paying it forward, that kind of like that. That's really good. If more Ambrians would only do such things, the Queen's domain would probably last all of Davokar. Uh, I appreciate it, especially from you.
Yeah, Lena, this new, finely dressed, well spoken, smooth talking man um, maybe throws you off a little bit. You do heal him a little, but perhaps your words catch as you're talking about Rigmar and how he got you out of the cage and then succumbed to blackness and then this soft, smooth spoken Ambrian noble is just a discontinuity, and you heal him a little bit, but not a lot. And then I expect you would attempt to heal yourself.
Uh, I realized that I don't need to hit myself because I'm just like Bo and Jeremy. I'll take a rest.
Okay. Jorel, we've approached the base of the bridge leading to the plateau with the outlines of ruins, but in the center of that plateau is this black square hole. Jorel had seen the outline of the footsteps of the high priest leading across this stone causeway into the center of this plateau that rises out from the darkness. The group, realizing that there's no exit, there's no way for the high priest to leave without crossing the bridge and crossing them, decide to take a rest at the base of this bridge before entering the plateau, and are taking a rest. Lena attempts to heal the new Ambrian noble, the Goy, and that's where you are at the moment. As you're catching your breath. Go ahead.
Can I try to heal somebody else, or is my healing just kaput for the day?
You can try healing someone else.
Okay, who needs healing?
If you look at the map, you can actually mouse over people, and they're
Which bar is it? The
Yeah.
top bar or the bottom bar?
It should be the bottom bar, but everyone looks like they're toughness.
Lero's like at 0, and
Yeah, I don't know why it shows up like that.
and
It'll
shows
be the
it.
opposite. That's how much damage they have.
Yeah, maybe toughness damage to toughness, right? Because
so D.
yeah, it doesn't show up right because Jorel shows up right. But the one who's
Diego's hurt.
yeah, the one who's mainly wounded is Diego.
Yeah, I'll heal him, even though he's a noble. Sounds like he's going to be annoying, but we'll heal him anyways.
Okay.
Could be useful. Oh, RPG soldier's still here. Oops, I wasn't meant to hear that. Hey, I rolled not a 20.
Hey, nice.
We get 2. Oh, we're just killing the rolls today, aren't we?
Right.
Yep. Well, that's
So-
good.
So um, you rest there
Are we
maybe.
taking a rest?
Yeah, how long are you going to take a rest? Are you going to wait out a day? You going to wait out sunlight? Are you just recovering, trying to cover as much as possible? Jorel knows that he's completely sapped, and it will take at least another 20 something hours for him to be able to affect how wounded he is. How long does the company stay there at the base of the bridge?
I think Diego would suggest himself and Leanna to scout out ahead just a little bit. Looking at the rest of you, noticing your shiny armors and clobbing feet, probably aren't well suited for such things. Although Jarrell might be. It's kind of hard to tell with his cloak and stuff.
Okay, so the new Ambrian noble uh, looks at Lena and offers to the group to perhaps scout the plateau while they take a longer rest, maybe make some
I
decision.
don't think we have time for the rest. I think that we need to press on because that means Hill will get to rest as well. And thanks to our healing ability, most of us are healed up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's move on then.
Do you let Diego and Lena scout out in front of you, or you just kind of all enter the plateau, deciding that to break your rest and move forward?
We'll all move together.
Okay. I think it is a new day. I would give everyone 1 point of toughness back for the 24-hour period.
Oh, so it is a new day. Okay.
Well, the sun rose as you found Diego, so
So I can heal myself again.
no, that was the same time, but I'm just giving you.
Oh, the same day. All right.
24 hour there, Jorel. Not at 8 in the morning.
What is time in these medieval times, anyways? How do we know?
Okay, so you walk over to Stone Bridge. It's very, very stable. You have no concerns of it falling away. You walk out onto this plateau and walk over these outlines of buildings, which are really just kind of nubbins of stone on the plateau surface. There's actually no remains at all. In the center of one of these squares, you get about 10 feet or 3 meters away, and you see this black square outline, and it looks like it had gates that have been thrown open, that have rusted open on either side. They're completely almost rusted, gone. They're missing bars. They've been there for a very long time, including the outline of the stone. And from your vantage point, you just see stairs leading down.
Is it dark down the stairs?
Yep. If you move closer, you're at the precipice of the stairs. You look down, it's completely black. The sun really isn't high enough to shine down the shaft. You see these ancient rounded stone. They're even, but they're rounded and cracked, and there's dust and dirt and rock and debris on it from eons of time passage, and it's completely dark.
And just to be clear, that's where the witch site is saying.
Yeah, Jorel kind of looks over Jorel looks over the edge maybe, or looks past the goy, and he sees footsteps leading down. The heretic trail still working.
I'll say the stench of the fiend is down that way in a very dramatic kind of voice.
Okay, who goes first?
Lero puts on the headlight. And
Slides his mask down.
yeah, and leads the way.
All right. Who is second?
I'll go second.
How much space between you and Lirame?
2 meters.
A couple steps then, 3-4 steps, give or take. You're not like right
6
behind them.
feet.
Yeah.
6
Okay.
feet. No,
Right.
not like where he can feel my hot breath.
Yeah. So that's probably like 6 or 8 steps, really. Like you get him, he gets partially down there. All right, Lirame, you're first down there. You step on these stones steps, rounded edges. They are obviously made by Ambrian-sized persons, not bigger. The steps are wide enough for your feet. They're well placed. Whoever had made them centuries ago knew their stonework. They're not, disheveled, but it's eons have passed, and so they're rounded and cracked, and they got stuff on it. You go about 6 or 8 steps down into the darkness with your mask glowing, sun mask glowing, and showing your way down the steps. And roll me a quick test, please. All right. You hear a click. You don't actually, you actually feel it, Lirame. It's almost as if some force, something grabs your ankles as you go to take this next step down, and you're leaning far forward, and your feet suddenly don't move on this 7th or 8th step. What Bo sees is you just tip over and go tumbling down the stairs into the darkness. He sees the light of your mask, wildly flaming and lighting the cavern as you go tumbling down into the darkness, and he just sees that light disappear as you tumble and tumble down. Roll me a 1d6 plus 2, please.
Gene, one thing we did notice last time we played was that his wounds were healing up.
Yes, you did.
Remember you saying that? Which we found all very we all found it very strange.
Yeah, Lirame, that fall just goes on. You tumble down the steps, 10 feet, 20 feet, 3, 5, 10 meters. You can't catch your step, and you just tumble and tumble and tumble and tumble until you land hard on the bottom. Roll your armor, please.
What is it again?
I think you could just click on your blessed robe.
Yeah.
I mean, would any of us have seen something like that in a person or a changeling where their wounds are healing like that?
You've been with, like we talked about before with Lirame, probably Bo, and Bo may not have seen it because I don't know if he was knocked unconscious by them. Lirame, roll me 1d4 plus 1. It just didn't. I probably rolled the wrong thing. Jorel would notice it, and so did Lena, because he was so wounded that it was hard to miss. Has Jorel seen something like that? Okay, so your armor.
I don't think he has.
You take 6 damage to toughness. Bo, you just see Lirame lose his footing. I would have Bo roll a cunning test for me. And you see Lirame disappear into the darkness. You look at the step that Lirame tripped over, and you don't see anything. There's no tripwire. There's no reason that Bo can necessarily see why Learme suddenly tipped over and lost his footing as he's standing there, probably on the second or third step.
Do I do I think it was some kind of magical trap, like a glyph or something?
You,
I'm not sure.
yeah, with that cunning roll, I think, and it was a pretty good roll, with a result margin that was pretty high. Bo gets maybe a little tingle, maybe his hair stand up on the back of his neck, or his small hairs on his arm, that Learme just didn't lose his footing.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't lose his footing. He was careful. Something held up his foot as he would, but you can't see anything. And so Bo may get the sense that there is something weird around that eighth or ninth step. What does Bo do?
I have no ability to really diffuse it. I would say count the steps and avoid this one.
Okay.
And try to stride over that step.
Yeah, I think you know where it is, Bo. Like, you know kind of around where it is, and you slowly advance, and I would let you roll a quick test at +2. To, like, gingerly step over it.
Right.
Bo, you gingerly step over this step that trips up Learme, and he goes tumbling down into the darkness, and you probably high step over it, this edge, and you land maybe 1 or 2 steps down. You don't really feel anything. What do you do as you reach that lower step and look back up at the others?
I would mention to them, just not too loud, in a whispered tone. Just watch out for that area.
Okay.
I kind of point it out the best that I can.
Does Bo do anything else?
Go find out where my other companion tumbled to.
Okay. So you point out that step, and proceed down into the darkness. You can see a little light way down at the bottom. Who is coming next?
I think Jarrell would probably be next, wouldn't he?
Sure.
Sure.
I can go next.
So much for Lena and Diego scouting this place out.
Yeah.
Hey, I
Yeah.
offered to scout it out, but you guys already made the choice, so.
Jorel, you see Bo, like, you see and hear Learme go tumbling down into the darkness. You see Bo high step over this, like around the 8th or 9th step, and do like a little hop to maybe step 11 or 12. And then he looks up back at you and, watch that step. And then he turns around and just heads into the darkness. What does Jorel do?
Yeah, I'll try to step over it. I'm really tall, so I don't really need to jump. I think I could just do like a gingerly hop.
Yeah, you know where the step is relatively. You kind of watched how Bo did it. And so you could roll a quick +2. Quick +2.
I don't know about this shit.
Yeah,
The
Jorel.
master of disaster.
Jorel, you see Bo's back disappearing into the darkness. He doesn't wait to give you a hand, like a woman out of a carriage. He expects you're going to make it on your own, and that doesn't happen. Jorel's sickly leg, it's hard for him to step down and over that way, and you lose
Yeah.
your footing, and you turn around facing upwards towards the light and fall and begin tumbling down on your
I'll
back.
try to grab onto Bo on my way down
Well,
if I'm gonna miss him.
what
I'm taking him
happens?
with me if I can.
What happens is What happens is you go tumbling down the stairs. Bo hasn't waited for you. He's partially down the stairs, and you're like this human bowling ball that comes coming down the stairs. Bo, you're adroitly making it down. You can kind of see Lyra May's light in the distance, and you probably hear a grunt and a shout from Jor-El above you, and then this noise of tumbling human flesh down the stairways towards you. What does Bo do?
Obviously, I would try to sidestep. I can hear it.
Right? You would probably have to jump over him, which is perfectly reasonable. There's not a lot of room in there. You can make a straight quick test.
I'm trying to grab him.
Straight up.
Yeah, you make a straight up quick test to jump him, and then we'll roll something else after.
Oh, that's no fun.
All right, Jor-El, you go tumbling down. You see Bo begin to vault over you, and you want to grab him. And so what I would do is roll an opposed quick test. You select Bo's character sheet on the map as a target and roll quick against quick at -2.
Oh, there's gonna be very little chance of this, I think. Quick. Nope.
You go to grab him as you're tumbling down the stairs, and he vaults over the top of you. Probably even putting one leg on the sidewall, and completely kind of turns around, goes over you as you go tumbling down the steps. Roll me 1d6 + 2.
All right. Stairs that kill Jor-El.
Oh, you got a better roll. And roll me 1d6 + 2 again for your armor. Okay. You go tumbling down the stairs, Jor-El. Lyra May's at the bottom. You eventually kind of see the light of Lyra May's mass come in and out, in and out, in and out of view as you tumble down the steps. The majority of that tumble and fall, your chainmail takes the brunt of it, and you suffer. Sorry, you suffer just 1 damage. You end up at the feet of Lyra May looking up at you. You looking up at Lyra May, flat out on the ground. Lyra May, do you say anything as Jor-El tumbles down into the darkness on the landing?
I think those steps are a bit slippy.
What makes you
maybe,
say that? I say like my hand on my, kind of doing one of those poses on the ground with my hand on my head. Just a day at the beach. Help me up, will you?
Yeah. There reaches a hand down, and it's like, we got here 5 minutes before the rest of the party because grabbed.
It's the quick way down.
Yeah.
Lyra May helps Jor-El up at the bottom of the steps. Bo is partially down the steps. Bo, do you continue down the steps, or you do anything different?
I would continue down the steps to
Okay.
investigate.
Okay.
And I gotta go on my fortitude is
Okay.
waning.
All right.
Obviously, I'm sure you can hear my voice.
Yeah, you're still sick. All right. Well, hopefully I'll see you next week. Get well, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
See you, Bo.
Bo's going to continue down the steps. And who's next, Lena or Diego?
Obviously, the noble would cross the dangerous step before the lady.
Okay. You know where the step is, Diego. You've seen two people kind of hop over it.
Right.
And so you saw Jorel lose footing, you saw Learmay lose footing, and so you're getting a better sense of where that trap barrier is or whatever the high priest did to the stairs. So I would roll, you can roll one of two things, cunning or quick at +3.
Cunning or quick? I think it's only a 1-point difference.
Yeah, I think.
I'll do cunning then.
Diego, you step over that barrier. You probably even feel it a little bit, and you get to the other side on step 10 or 12, or you adroitly go over that barrier, and you're looking up at Lena. What does Diego do as he's on the other side?
Well, obviously, he would propose his hand to help the lady across the step.
Okay, Lena, you see Diego go over. He makes this kind of little hop, little jump, little step over this invisible, unknown barrier that took out two of the party, and he reaches past up the steps towards you and offers you his hand. What does Lena do?
She's saying she'll accept the help, but I guess her mic's not working.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, Lena, so you go to the step and you take Diego's hand and he guides you over the step easily, no fuss. You know exactly where it is because you have a guide, unlike Jorel, who was left to try to manage it on his own. And you step easily across that barrier with Diego's help, and you continue down into the darkness where you find Bo, Jorel, and Learmay at the bottom of the steps. I am going to put you on a map, and I'm going to add light to Learmay, because I believe Learmay has some dim light for quite some distance. I say 10 meters. Okay.
And I've also got the stone.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit. I'll probably put light on your character too, Jorel. Does everyone see the map first?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So you end up at the bottom of these stairs right here. Diego, Bo, Learmay, Jorel, and Lena. Jorel looks and you kind of see stairs over here and you see this path roll around the edge, and Jorel can see the footsteps of the high priest going around this corner. They do not go, up this way. You can't really see into that darkness with the vision that you have at the moment. You're in this big space, though. You hear water, and as you look over to the side, you kind of see this standing water with a little bit of movement in it. It seems to have some degree of flow to it. The area is green and humid because of the water source. The water source is pretty clear. Like, you look deep into it and you see stairs even in the depths of the water on either side, and Jorel can see the steps of the high priest leading around the corner. What does the company do?
Let's move on. And I'll point and I'll just say he went that way. I'll point to the right.
Okay, Jorel, who's in the lead?
Can
Go ahead, Lena.
can Lena scout first before we proceed on going?
She surely can. Does the group let the sneaky Lena around?
Yeah, we're not haters. We're not
Okay.
haters here. We'll let her do it.
So, Lena, if you actually move your token, your vision will change. So if you scout around up this way, I will follow you and tell you what you see.
Diego's gonna go as well.
Okay.
Building into the shadow directly behind Leanna, throwing a quick glance back at the group.
Jorel, this new, very well dressed Ambrian noble, and the new woman you met who's tried to heal you and has healed Bo and Learme, and this new noble are heading off into the dark. Do you give them the stone or let them sneak?
No, I think they got it under control. I think.
Okay.
Was Diego giving me like a dirty look, like we're cowards, or was he like just what was that all about?
It was like one of those like wink not knowing looks. Like, come on now.
Oh God, they multiply. These guys with all their money.
You and Diego, start around that bend. You see some stairs leading off this way, but you know from Jorel that the high priest didn't go that way. You can see some degree in front of you, and you see some stairwell over here goes through this kind of archway that's been overgrown, like like if you were going through the gate of a city, and the stairwell goes up into the darkness. You and Lena move you can go how far you would like, and I will kind of describe what you see. You go through this archway of crumbling stone. It's kind of a pillar and an arch, and you see degraded carvings, scroll work, faces in the stonework. You see the same sort of even steps leading off into the darkness, and you can just barely see a landing, past your vision as you go up. You don't really hear anything besides the sound of water. Occasionally you hear a splash out there into the darkness of the water. You see water over the edge of the stairs as you kind of climb up these stone steps that have the same sort of similar make that the steps you came down. Lena is advancing up the steps and comes to a landing, and the trail starts to curve to the left. You can hear the space above you, even in the darkness, is huge, and you hear echoes of your footsteps. Make a cunning roll, both of you.
Cunning or discreet?
Cunning. Lena, you're advancing with Diego behind you, and you don't really hear anything of concern. Everything's quiet aside from the sound of the water. There might be a little bit of breeze coming off from your left-hand side that is just kind of humid and cold. You don't hear anything of any concern. You're listening into the darkness past where you can see and don't hear anything. Diego is behind you. You hear his footsteps, and Diego is being cautious. He hears larger splashes in the water. He realizes those splashes aren't necessarily the water movement, and he gets a sense that it's just not maybe it hitting against the sides of the cavern and the stonework, that the splashes sound more organic, more like fish, like if you're out fishing and you hear a fish jump, and he hears that kind of noise, but that's the only thing he hears. Do you guys continue on your own or bring up the...
Okay. Lina will ask the group that it's safe and they can come up with us.
Okay. I would expect that...
I want to.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna have Diego look over to the side where the splashing is. You said there's organic splashing, so I kind of want to check that out. See
Yeah,
what it is.
you look over the side and you hear a splash, but you look over the side and there is water movement that Diego can tell is natural. Like there's a little bit of flow, perhaps, coming out this way, maybe as the water flows through this cavern and there's an outlet somewhere. And so there is movement, not necessarily waves, but he sees movement. He can't really see anything in the water, and he isn't fast enough to catch the size or the location of the splash.
Okay.
I assume that Jorel and Lirme regroup. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Lena and Digoy, as the group rejoins you with Lirme's mask of light and Jorel's holding the stone that gives off light, you can see further up, and you see this ramp causeway that leads up into the darkness. Jorel peers that way, and he can see the steps of the high priest going in that direction. He sees a step and a slide and a step and a slide, almost as if the high priest is dragging his feet, dragging his 1 foot and leg, pretty similar to how Jorel moves in the scheme of things. And that's what Jorel sees. He does see that the high priest has moved in that direction.
All right. I'll motion and say quietly that way. I think we're getting close.
Okay. Jorel and Lirme, you let them go in advance of you or follow?
Do they want us to?
Probably.
I'm fine with letting them go. No skin off my back, but
yeah, if they want to be sneaky, actually. We
Okay.
can let them be sneaky.
So Lena and
We can only rage ahead so far without Jarrell telling us which way we were going.
yeah, the sense I
you
get
could
is
branch off and explore. It's safe, I'm sure.
the sense I get is Lena and you kind of hop ahead, rejoin, hop ahead. They're looking for danger, that sort of thing. Lena and Diego move forward, and far in the distance, high up on the wall, way outside of their sight, somewhere over, this direction, but way up there, they see a little flicker of light. They don't know how far it is, but they can see this kind of flickering light somewhere across the cavern, but it's so low that it just comes now and then. But they notice it in the darkness. There's not enough light for them to see that far or to see where that is, but they do see light way off in the distance this way. They get to their present position and they see the hint of steps just right here across this kind of broken area of stone that probably was a path. The path goes off into the darkness this way, into, deeper darkness, and then they see the hint of steps this way. Jor-El's behind you, and he can still kind of see that far because of his light, and he does know that the steps of the priestess goes that direction, up these kind of stairs in the distance.
I will point up there,
Okay.
up the stairs.
Okay, Lena. You start up these stairs. They're pretty steep because they have fallen away a little bit, and you got to go hand over foot. That's how steep they are. They're kind of broken stairs, steeper stairs, and you start up those steps towards that landing where you've placed your icon. Diego, how close are you to Lena as she starts this climb?
Pretty much right on their heels.
Right on her bottom, right? Okay.
Oh my god.
I'm beginning to think there were different reasons that Diego wanted to go with her.
Oh yeah, giving us a little wink.
Lena, as you go up this step, going up these steps, you grab this next step and you lean on your weight on it, and the whole step comes out in your hand, and you cartwheel backwards. The Goy is right behind you, but first make a quick test at -2 to keep your feet. Yeah, you cartwheel a little bit. Lena, you got this, step in your hand, like half the step, and then you slam yourself down, like go sprawl out face first onto the step itself. Maybe Diego's hand is on your back a little bit, and you nearly lose your balance on that as that step crumbles away from you, and you crawl up over that, on your hands and knees up to that flat place. Diego's right behind you. Diego, you see Lena pull like almost a whole step out with her as it crumbles away from her, and she cartwheels and catches her balance and goes flat, and then crawls up to the top. What does Diego do?
Well, she's not following, so she's got it. So I'll just continue climbing up, being cautious.
Okay. Roll me a quick test. Yeah, Diego, you feel the steps crumbling away from you, but you kind of scrabble up after Lena, and you both kind of reach the top of these kind of broken stairs at the very top of the area. You look back down and you see those kind of steep stairs leading down towards you. You see, a causeway leading off this way, into the dark, and then the start of some big steps leading, into the darkness here, like the beginning of steps, as the light from Jor-El and Lyra kind of breach up over the edge there. Lyra can kind of see like water falling from somewhere underneath this causeway, but he can't really see the space where he is, and he can't really tell where the priestess steps goes because it's so far above him. What do Lena and Diego do? Sorry.
So I think, yeah, it probably is the Goy. or Daigoi.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'd probably like wave to the rest of the group, like it's safe. Come on, just be careful. uh, while Leanne
Not
is probably,
this again.
checking out the area.
Jorel, you're at the base of the steps, and Diego always says, "It's safe. Just be careful." What does Jorel say to
Yeah,
that?
he says that's cack. I saw him like stumbling on the steps. So I was like up behind him watching him go up. So I'm gonna say throw down a rope.
Yeah,
I've got a busted kneecap. Doesn't work so well.
you stand there. You and Lear May probably are standing there at the edge of these really steep steps. You look across, and there's this little jump to this, place over here, and you see stairs leading this way up that reach the causeway. Um, those stairs look far better off than those stairs. I'm just mentioning it because you should be able to see it with your light.
Mm-hmm.
And Diego,
Yeah, I can see it.
okay. And so, uh, do Learme and Jorel go that route?
If he's gonna lead, I will follow behind him.
Okay,
Can I ask?
sure.
Can I ask? I think like we all this slow, sleuthing around and spelunking and stuff. Like surely it's been 24 hours now.
No, this hasn't taken that long.
Oh fuck.
It's only probably been, an hour and a half. Like you've only
Okay.
fallen down some stairs and slowly made your way through this cavern. It's not like you're truly
Uh,
spelunking. So Learme
Okay.
leads Jorel around the edge. Learme,
Yeah. Lirame's like tapping the stairs in front of him with his sword.
okay. You tap the stairs. You're tapping up these stairs right here, and they're all
Yeah.
they're all solid, Learme, completely solid. You up at least until here. You tap up these stairs, no trouble, until this landing. You can look across and see that Diego, once you reach this spot, you're looking across, and Diego and Lena are probably about 3 meters or 10 feet, in elevation above you, and you see the second set of stairs leading up to this causeway.
Yeah, same process. Up we go.
Okay. You're tapping the stairs up there, Lear May, and you get about halfway, and then your sword doesn't hit anything.
Okay. I
You see
point that
stairs
one
there.
out.
You see stairs there, and you tap, and then you tap again, and there's like open space. Lyra May.
You see that, Jorel?
Do I see it? I see it. I acknowledge it.
Yeah, Jorel, you
Foul
look,
trickery afoot.
you look, and you see him tapping, and his sword is just like going through the step itself. And he's tapping, but there's no sound. Like he's missing until his sword like hits the step that he's standing on. Lyra May,
Yeah.
what do you do as you're standing on that step and realize that the center, or some degree of falseness in that there's some illusion of steps there that are not actually there?
All right, I'll carry on using my sword as a pokey stick to figure out which is the next step I'm able to stand on.
Yeah, you reach out with your sword and you like try to reach all the way to here, but you're just not tall enough or long enough, and you hit nothing. You don't actually reach these steps right here. You probably check, you can probably check at most about to this step right here, but you feel nothing.
Oh wow. That's a lot of fake steps.
What is this sorcery?
Jorel, Lirame would probably Lirame would probably figure that uh, at least the 3 steps in front of him, at least these 3 steps right here in this hex, he can't feel. He can't feel it at all. And so Lirame is standing there, testing, trying to find out where there's solid ground. Digoy and Lena, you see Lirame kind of stop on these steps. Jorel's right behind him. He's poking around with his sword. What does Digoy do?
I think he watches with amusement as they took the other stairs, and seeing him stuck on on this half imaginary stairway, kind of like waves at them and like motions them to come up the actual stairs.
We saw you fall through the imaginary stairs as well.
I didn't fall through those stairs.
Yes, you did.
Of course,
No, that was Bo. Or no, actually, that was Jarrell. Jarrell fell through.
of course, Lirame did use his sword to tap up the steps. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, it's got to be a lot of fake steps because Lyra is like 6 foot tall and it's a great sword, so that's a lot of reach.
well, I think if you're reaching that far, like you are, like leaning over, or maybe Jor-El grabs to your belt, your sword belt, and if he's that tall with a great sword, he may be able to tell that the landing is solid. Like the bare tip of his sword reaches that landing right here, and he'd have to jump across those 3 or 4 steps and somehow make it to this step. Maybe the tip of his sword just hits solid rock right there, because he has a great sword and reach. And so he knows that there's solid stone here. It's just that the 4 stairs in front of him are not actually present.
Yeah, and I have no illusions about Jor-El's ability to make that jump.
Right. I was just thinking that.
Ability or inability?
So what would you do?
I'm stupid, not dumb. No. Wait, yes. They'll go back and take the stairs that they are able to climb.
So you backtrack to the steep stumbling steps. Yeah. Okay. Lirame and Jor-El backtrack towards here at the base of these steep stumbling steps that Digoy and Lena had to crawl up. What's the plan to get up them?
I think Dagoy would say, if you got a rope, toss it up. It might be a little bit easier for you that way.
Do you have a rope? Do either of you have a rope?
I think that any...
Did we get our rope back from Captain Clay?
Yeah, I think that any adventuring party would not travel without obvious things they would need, like a rope. I don't really sweat that kind of equipment issue. You'd be relatively fools to travel without ropes, for just various reasons, into Davokar. And so I think someone would have a 50-foot rope. They'll probably have 1 or 2 of them, and you also used it,
Gene just called us all fools because I guarantee nobody's got a rope in their inventory.
So you have 2 choices.
He's saying he doesn't sweat the fact that we don't have it.
You could surely leave it up to the dice. I could roll and ask if you have a rope. Or do you want to say you have one?
I would like to get up this staircase without Jor-El dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you use a rope, there's no roll that's needed. It takes a little bit of time. Perhaps, Lirame goes up first, and then, Digoy and Lirame, Jorel ties it around him, and he practically is hauled up those, broken steep steps, you know, partly on his hands and knees, and Degoy and Learme like hand over hand Jorel up, and everyone makes it up to this plateau right here.
I like that plan. As an invalid, I approve.
Right. And so Learme, Jorel, and Lena and Degoy are right here. I should bring Bo up. Let me find where he is. Since I lost
Yeah, I
him.
think he's all the way at the beginning.
Yeah. I'll have to reset. I'll put his token there when I need to. And so everyone makes it to this landing. Jorel is looking, and he sees the footprints of the high priest leading here up into these steps. As you look up there, because of Jorel's light, you can see flickering, somewhere here, somewhere up into this area right here, you see flickering light and emanating outside these archways right here. Deeper in that archway, you get a sense of it. You just see it pulse now and then, this faint light coming out of this archway up here. You see the priest steps go up this archway until about here, and then Jorel can't see them, and he just sees, the steps, the steps of the priest go here, and then you see a flickering light in the distance up top. Sometimes it outlines these double arches, and then it fades in and out, and that's what you see as you reach that landing.
Okay. The steps lead that way. They say, and I motion in that direction.
Len and Degoy, you go there and you see this platform, and Jorel sees the priest steps end right here. As you and Lena come up these stairs, you see these metal rods on either side of this platform right here, this kind of stone square. You see these thick metal rods about the diameter of an arm sticking straight up about 3 meters or 10 feet above you. And you get to that top step where you see these metal posts essentially on either side. Jorel's at the base, and you can see the footsteps of the high priest end right on in the middle of that stone square.
Like, does it look like is there like a cage or something that drops down? Like when you said 3 metal rods sticking up, what does that mean? Like, I don't understand.
So you have like this broken stone square, like an elevation or a dais, right? Like one step up,
Yeah.
and it's this stone square that's kind of fractured in the middle and sunk a little bit. On the east and west side of the square's sides are these metal rods that rise out of the ground and go straight up. 2 metal rods, circular metal columns that go straight up. They're about as thick as an arm, and they go straight up on the east and west side of this stone square. Jorel sees the footprints of the high priest end there.
Are they like, do the footsteps end inside the square?
Yes.
Or do they end before the square?
No, they end in
the square.
Yeah, in the center of the square. They end in the center of the square.
Okay. Is there how far is the water to the left and right? Like, could this person jump into the water from here? Or would he have to take a step and jump?
From where you are. from where you are on this kind of step where Lirame
I'll
is, it's about 20 feet down to the water. From where Lena and Dagoy are, it's probably 60 feet to jump off the edge and land in the water on either side. So it's a fair ways down. You see flickering light over here as you get there, but you can't really see up there because it's another 20, 30 feet or 10 meters above. It's about 60 feet or 20-meter drop from where Lena is, and a 20-foot or 9-meter drop roughly from here into the water. So it's a fair ways down.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Half Moon could have like walked and jumped off the side without me seeing the footsteps disappearing to the side.
Yeah, you look
You
into
know what I mean?
the water, and there are you could climb down to the water, but you see no indication that the high priest went that way.
So I think Dagoy kind of has an idea of what's going on with this step, and he'll step onto the dialysis.
Okay. Dagoy, you step onto the center of the dais.
All right, and then as I step onto it, I'm looking for some kind of like writing or something on the ground, or a button to push.
Yeah, there's no button to push, Dagoy. You look around to these new people that you saw. Lena is standing off to the side, maybe looking up at this tall metal thing on the east end or the west side side of the square. You step into the square that's cracked in the center, and you stand there for a minute, maybe turn around and look back at everyone, and look up and look down at your feet, and then all of a sudden you see black writing and glyphs and that you've never seen before seep out from where your feet are, almost like if you bled into the stone itself, and it slowly sleeps out, illuminating black writing and glyphs in a circle. And then you feel your hair stand on end in the back of the neck, and there's this pop. Your ears pop. You probably reflexively swallow. The power of it might rock Lena back off her feet, and you shimmer a little bit as Jorel is there, and then you disappear. You pop up.
So sorry.
You pop up over here. You pop up over here, the goy, and you realize that there's two small, like fractured stone metal pillars that are about 3 feet tall that are broken, and you suddenly land there with a jolt that brings up anything in your stomach. Your skin is on fire, and you need to roll a resolute check. Okay. And since you passed your resolute check, roll me 1d4. The way you land there, it's almost like your insides have been turned out, like you're coughing up your guts and your lungs. You suddenly feel your throat constrict, your eyes blacken, and you lose vision for a minute, and then it slowly squiggles back out. As you look down, you realize all your fingers are black, and your breath smells fetid like dead meat, and corruption just kind of seeped into you, and you suffer 4 temporary corruption.
All right. So the goy, noticing where he is, and after having retched, probably hear him retching up there, I would assume, in the echoey cave. Kind of mumbles out, "Well, that was interesting. Not quite fun, but here we are."
Yeah, Degoy
And
is.
then he'll step
Go
off
ahead.
the Dahlias or Dallasis or whatever it's called.
Yeah, as you're up there on the top, as soon as you get your breath back from throwing up and retching, you see light through that double archway into the deep. It glows kind of out there. You see a tunnel that leads out into some space that's open, but you see light pulsing from deeper into that archway.
So he'll lean over to the side of the what do you call this, landing or whatever,
Yeah.
and kind of holler down at the group. "Come on up. The water's just fine."
It does not look fine. It in no way looks fine.
So after
By
Degoy,
Queen's blood, you'll be all right.
after Degoy, is thrown up there, you can't really see him up there. He throws up and catches his breath after making this movement. This he gets shuttled and shifted up there by some sort of gate and power. You can't see him up there. You just hear him throw up a little bit. And what happens next? Jorel, Lena, Lirme.
Um,
I think Lena goes next.
what is the distance between the 2 points?
It's a fair climb. Like you could climb this, but Lirme looking up there realizes that he may be able to do it, but he doesn't know if he has the strength to do it. If he could hold himself on the wall, it would be a difficult climb for him. He would have to have to successfully climb up there, and mechanically, what that would be is 2 strong tests.
Yeah, not Nero's strong suit. He's praying to Prios for defense against the darkness. And onto the deists as well.
All right, Lirme. Jorel, you're probably the only one who knows this. Everyone else, as Degoy makes it up to the top and starts retching, Lena and Lirme may have an idea that he's just thrown up because of the translation. The jolt of being out of body, in a body, and landing in that space. They have no idea that they may take corruption. I think Jorel is the only one who would probably know that how dangerous that leap is. I'm just letting you know what Jorel would know. As Lirme stands on the center. Lirme, essentially exactly the same thing happens. You stand on the center for a moment, nothing really happens, and then it's as if you're bleeding in your feet into the stone, and these black glyphs just blossom out in a circular, expanding circle, and you hear your eardrums pop, your innards turn upside down, your vision goes black, and you translate to the same spot that the Goy did. You need to make a resolute check.
I want to know what happens if you fail.
Right.
Like,
Roll.
what the heck happens if you fail?
Roll me a 1d4 for temporary corruption.
Like you succeed, you take 1d4 corruption.
So
Fail, what happens?
the same thing happens, Lirme. You translate to this space. It's as if there's a burning, huge fire in your gut, like you're exploding from the inside out. You're coughing up a lung. You may even get a little blood on your lips. Your lips go black. Your fingers go black. Your eyes lose color and then come back. Everything is in grays and blacks, and then color kind of seeps back into the world, and you take 3 temporary corruption. Jorel and Lena, Learme and Degoy are up at the top of the dais, and you see all this happen. Who goes next, and what do you do, or what do you do?
Lena can go next if she wants.
All right.
Okay. Lena, you're going to step into the center. Okay. Lena, you step into the center of that, and obviously the same thing is going to happen. You step into the center, and unlike the Goy and Learme, where they had a rough trip, your trip is 10 times worse. You translate, but in between,
Jean,
yeah.
can Lina roll again and spend the experience to roll again?
Sure, you can expend experience. Oh, look at you. Lena, as you translate, it's simple. You somehow at first think all your breath is taken away. You almost feel like you're going somewhere else. You almost see Degoy and Learme at the top. Everything goes black, and this other space opens up and starts to pull you, shred you into this other place, and then you somehow double down, somehow find your center. You do something to suddenly find the center, because you know that you're about to fail and terrible things may happen, and you suddenly find this center, and you arrive at the top of the dais. You look at Degoy and Learme, who probably still has vomit on their lips, and you smell spring flowers and feel no ill effects of having stepped on the square and made it to the other side. Is there something that happens in that translation that you find strength in?
I hope you appreciate Lyra now believes you to be a witch.
I think that dialysis is sexist.
Well,
She smells flowers, we smell brimstone. Come on now.
the priestess was the priest was a
Yeah.
dude, so it's probably just as bad for him.
Lena is being naive, and to Daigo, I didn't notice anything.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So she basically comes out and is like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. That was a pleasant, travel. What are you guys throwing up?
Jorel is probably there, the last one to have.
You muted, Gene.
Oh. Jorel probably sees it too, or feels it. Like, Lena makes this skip over and lands, and there's maybe a little bit of air that fluffs, her clothing or her hair out. And in this dark space, Lena lands there completely unharmed. No retching. He could probably see his face now where he is, because Learme is up there with his light mask, and she looks pristine as she makes it to the other side. Jorel, you're the last one down there. last one down there.
She translates with no issues, and we've got another guy who like regenerates. Interesting.
That's what a 1 on your resolute will give you.
I don't know that. Maybe she's a
Right.
witch.
Exactly. Which is fun to play out. What does Jorel do as all the three companions now are on the other side?
Well, I've got to ask, all the corruption that I gained from trying to heal myself almost 24 hours ago, was that a previous scene?
Yeah, I should arc clear that from you. And so you should,
Okay.
I just cleared it for you, so you should be fine.
Okay. Have 24 hours passed?
No, but the scene, the temporary corruption for the scene should be gone.
Okay. I will
Oh, can
say
you do Lena as well?
Yes. Lena, I believe I cleared her already. She got corruption from casting spells. Yeah, I'll clear her temporary. Lyra May and Degoy's corruption are going to last for a little bit.
I'll say a silent
Till the
prayer
end
to
of this scene.
Prios and step in and do as the other people did.
Okay. Before you do that, Lyra May and Degoy, Lyra May, you have to add your corruption that you took automatically. No, it doesn't add it automatically because it was a die roll. So just put it under current or under temporary. You can just put 3.
It doesn't let you
Put it under permanent. What?
I did it for you.
Yeah. No, I was trying to change it to the attribute bar.
Oh. Yeah, I just clicked on your temporary and just wrote 3 down. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jorel. It's a moment of truth, but I don't think Jorel can get too harmed by this.
Yeah.
Have you seen his rolls tonight?
Yeah. Have you seen my rolls? We had all 3 earlier people pass with lower stats. So Murphy's Law,
But
some kind of law says that I have to fail with my 15.
The amount of temporary corruption you can take is far outside what Lyra May can handle.
That's true. But it's the shame of it, of failing a 15. Here we go.
Oh.
Oh my God, I passed.
1.
Oh, and I rolled 2 times.
Yeah, that's crazy. You
Yeah,
rolled
you
2
got
ones
2
anyways.
ones.
You probably just had favor or something clicked.
I had disfavor on.
So Jorel, how does that happen? How do you arrive unscathed, completely well, looking far better than Lyra May and Degoy in the square before these 2 archways?
I just look at them both with gleaming fire in my eyes, and I say, Prios is within me. That's it.
Okay. All 4 of you are standing there before these double arches. You can see glowing light emanating from this tunnel leading into brightness, but there's some other light there, unnatural light that just kind of flickers now and then. And what do you do?
Well, do I see the steps
Yeah.
of the... Okay.
Yeah, the steps
will
lead
point.
through the archway, down the hallway, down this kind of tunnel into this brightness. And you see the steps of the high priest. You see the steps of the high priest on the dais and go through the archways and then lead down this tunnel.
There. He is yonder. I'll say again in like a gravely kind of dramatic voice.
Okay.
And hope somebody goes first. Let the scouts go first.
Let the scouts go first. I'm going to bring Bo in because it's going to be necessary. Let me roll his resolute check. He fails. I'm going to use his. Oh, should I or not? How many can he take? Oh, he can take quite a bit. Bo is the last to come over, and he doesn't translate like Lena and Jorel, but he's going to take the risk. All right.
Whoa, a D8 plus 2?
I mean, he's got strong gift, doesn't he? So, like, no risk at all.
So Bo comes
You
over,
bet.
and he's the last of the group, and he translates, and it exit of this swirling blackness. As soon as he lands, he immediately probably drops to one knee. His whole eyes are black. He's bleeding from the ears of this black thick stuff out of his ears and nose. He coughs and coughs into his hands and then staggers to a stand. He's got, marks down his neck and up his arms. You can see past his gauntlets, and his hands are completely black except for his nails, which have all fallen off. And the whites of his eyes are completely black, and his irises have gone red. He shakes it off a little bit, but you can tell that translating brings him to the brink, and you look down the tunnel, and Jorel sees that it leads down that direction. I assume you all are going to pursue, and if so, who goes first, and what is your lineup? How do you march down this tunnel?
We don't have. Is Diego a tanky boy or a sneaky boy?
Sneaky.
Okay. We don't have a big tanky boy anymore, so Lero is stuck going first. Oh dear.
So it's Lyra May, and
Yeah.
We'll go Digoy.
Then Bo. You should send Bo first.
well, Bo would
I'm joking. He's not here. He can't say no.
Lyra May, Diego, Bo, and Katarina. Lena and Jorel in the rear.
Sure.
Why don't we take like a 5-minute break? I'll get the map set up, make sure all the lighting's right, and then we will come back. Okay.
Sure thing.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Let me know if you're here. I'll ask again eventually, but
Here.
I am here.
Donde está?
all right. And we'll start. You exit this tunnel, the flashing light, the kind of periodic pulses of red orange light outline the tunnel walls as you kind of make it through. You're a little bit bright blinded as you enter out into the light on a lower kind of dais that has an opening through the stone to the sky. You see these basalt pillars that are shaped in geometric shapes rising out of the ground. There's just steps that lead to this central area with this gate that's encircled by stone. And there you see the high priest of the Half Moon cult standing there. Around him is this, in the air, is this scintillating kind of boiling light, and you are at the base of the steps. You see in front of you these two shapes, and they're kind of inert, but they're huge, probably 10 feet, 3 meters tall. They have these huge kind of hammers in one hand, a double kind of hammer weapon that you can see, and the high priest of the half moon cult is at the center of this kind of archway, standing in the midst of it as this kind of reddish orange light boils and flickers around him. Lirame is in front, followed by Degoy and Bo and Lena and Jorel in the back. As you enter, Lirame, what do you do as you see this scene?
Is just the priest at the moment?
No, you can see these two figures on either side. Can you see the map? The whole map?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. I'll show you what those kind of look like.
Oh, fuck.
They're kind of
Prios
just.
will guide my blade.
You're kind of just standing.
Looks scary.
You're standing there, and you see this sight, and those giant. They're not giant. They're just like as tall as an ogre, but they're obviously not ogres, in this kind of black plate armor with these huge hammers, and they're just sitting there with their heads down a little bit, almost as you look up at them and see the priest. He's just looking down at you from this kind of boiling light around him, and that's what you see. Lirame, do you do anything as you take this scene in?
Start walking forwards. Not cautiously tapping, but like nonchalantly tapping my sword on the stairs as I climb up.
Nonchalant.
Yeah, Lirame, your bastard sword is just hitting straight stone. There's nothing between you, the high priest, and whatever those giant figures on, and you go tapping up that stairwell. They go away.
As I get up to the last step, I'll try and be a bit flashy, like spark it along the floor. So
Okay.
the Prios will judge him for his transgressions against this world.
You see no reaction to him. As you get up to the top, the heads of those figures snap up, and they bring these giant hammers into both hands, but they don't move. The Goy, you see Lirame go up, start moving up towards the top of those steps, and kind of gets to that outer ring as he's moving. What does the Goy do?
The Goy moves along the side of the stairwell and very casually drifts into the shadows of the stairwell as he moves forward.
Okay, so you're gonna try to drift around. Okay. You see an opening at the far back. You have no idea if the stone has a way around. I'm just telling you that. So you know it does continue in high brush over this way. These basalt kind of pillars are way too tall to climb. They're probably 60 feet or 20 meters. You could climb them eventually, but it would be very difficult, just so you know the layout. So Degoy kind of moves off into the shadows there. Jorel, you see Bo move up to stand with Lirame. You are down there on the bottom. The steps of the high priest you see moving up those stairwells with your heretic trail sight, moving up there. And what does Jorel do?
I'll advance as well. And am I within talking distance to him, or?
You could probably shout.
Okay, I'll say, no more running, no more skulking in the shadows. It's time to end this and end you. Before we do so, would you kindly tell us your name so that we may record it?
Yeah, he looks down at you and shouts back, Jorel Elirak, you will die here today. Turn around and save your life.
It is time for you to die, heretic.
You just see him wait for a minute. And he nods his head and he says, Yes, Jorel Elirak, you should know my name. It should be the last name you hear in your voice, in your ears when you die bleeding upon this dais. I am Oakgrill, High Priestess. Come to me and let me feed you flesh.
We haven't heard that name before. It sounds very familiar.
No, you haven't.
It's
You haven't heard
new,
his.
right?
You haven't heard his name before.
Okay.
But he gives it to you freely because you all are gonna die.
Rude and incorrect.
Okay.
Lyra
Jorel,
never dies.
Jorel, do you respond in any fashion when he tells you that before he feeds your flesh to the fire, his name is the last you're going to hear in your ears?
I'm just thinking to myself, has 24 hours passed? Because I
No.
I just say the only thing that will burn is your soul in Prios's avenging flames, heretic.
Come then, Jorel Elirak. I look forward to your death. Lena,
Fuck.
what do you do as Lirame, Bo, Degoy advance? Jorel takes to the top of that step and shouts back and forth to the high priest of the Half Moon cult who has imprisoned you for weeks in a cage. What does Lena do?
Lena will do an unnoticeable spell.
Say that again. What will Lena do? You're going to do a heal cell on yourself, or was it something I missed?
No, I spell to be unnoticeable.
Oh, unnoticeable. Okay. You are going to use unnoticeable and fade from vision. So, who are you going to use it on?
On the priest.
Okay, so just target him and roll resolute versus resolute test. Let's see. Woo! Very nice roll, Lena. The priest is looking at Jorel, and he has no idea that you're there. He can't see you at all. You skulk around to the side there and take up position. His eyes don't even notice you, and as you're moving, the giant figures in black plate mail, they also don't seem to react to you. Jorel is up front with Bo. The Goy is slightly behind him. Katarina kind of skulks over to the left. Jorel is at the base of the steps. Lirame, uh, what do you do as you're just on the edge of this scintillating light?
Um, are we? Jorel, why are you all the way back there? Freaking wimp.
I guess I'd be up here. I guess I'd be a little closer. I just don't want to be hit with a cone effect spell or something, you know.
Yeah.
I'm at 2 health, man. I'm at 2 health.
Didn't you get healed earlier?
No, I got healed for 1. She healed me once, and I got 1 health back. I'm at 2. He's gonna sneeze on me, and I'm gonna go down.
Hero is not very smart. He is going to start walking forward with another prayer.
Okay. Lear, may you start moving forward, maybe dragging your sword along the stone, sparking up as you go. You Oh, okay. That will come in handy. You can move forward up to this space if you'd like. Bo comes with you. And we're going to stop there for just a second to see what your comrades do. Degoy, you see Lirame move forward. He is suddenly kind of bathed in this soft light, and it pushes back at this kind of red orange scintillating light around him a little bit. Bo enters the kind of follows him. The light itself doesn't seem to affect Bo at all, but you do see it move away from Lirame some as you're in that side spot. What does Degoy do?
So melding into the shadows to hopefully, break line of sight and sticking to the shadows. I kind of want to move on the inside of the circle along the outer edge.
Like over here?
Right.
Okay. You could do that. You step into that area and feel that light on your skin. It's itchy, maybe burns a little bit, but you don't feel that it takes away from your bodily strength or closes off your vision. You might feel it in the corruption you've taken. It just makes it burn more, like you've thrown hot water on your skin that's exposed, but you don't feel that it does damage as you enter that circle. Lena, you see Degoy sneak around that edge over there and take up position roughly where he is, just inside the circle of stone. What does Lena do?
Lena will attack the priest.
Sure, he can't see you. What are you planning to do?
So Lena will do Hunter Instinct, so 2 times attack with an advantage.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Okay. And you are going to take a single attack because it's an ambush attack, really. And I assume you're going to use your bow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can target the priest. Okay.
Most horrible roll.
Right. Look at that. 19 and a 20. Ooh.
That's the Jor Hall Club. You get a certificate of club membership.
Jorel, you're at the top of the steps. Lena puts arrow to bow and fires an arrow between Lirame and the Black Guardian. And it hits the scintillating light and ricochets off above, way out into space. You have seconds to act, really, Jorel, as the Guardians snap to attention and begin to move. What do you do, or do you do anything?
Well, when you say the arrow flies off the scintillating light, is that the light from Lirome or the light from inside the
Yes,
near
that
the priest?
it's that kind of a light that's scintillating all around in that space.
Oh, in the space.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. And is Lirome's light, is his aura seeming to be effective? Is it pushing back against the?
That's what it looks like. Like whenever that light kind of pulses into him or fades into him, it kind of moves away. So Lirame looks like he's in this clearer space because that light doesn't, you know, seem to invade around him.
Okay, I'm gonna move and cast a spell.
Okay.
How far can I move? Up to here?
You can move wherever you like.
Is that in the space of the? Is that within the space of the aura?
You're just inside.
Okay, I'm gonna cast this as well.
Okay.
Awesome.
I am going to put. Let me put everyone on. Let me put everyone on the tracker. And roll initiative.
The aura is basically line of sight, just so you know. So it kind of impacts everyone you can see in the scene. But where's your -1 coming from for the mod?
I don't know. I was gonna ask that. I don't know if it's for armor or what.
Oh, yeah, is your armor impeding you?
The double chain? Yeah, it's got an impedance of 1. I don't think I've ever seen that before, though. Really weird.
Yeah, light armor doesn't affect spellcasting, but heavier ones do, which is why the armored mystic thing from the APG is for. It reduces that.
So, technical question. Lirame and Jorel have cast Holy Armor. It's a line of sight, so I'm assuming every turn it does its damage to.
Mine failed.
Oh, you're failed.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was a success. So, Lirame, your Holy Armor, your Holy Aura is in effect. It's a line of sight, and it affects all abominations, undead, and I'm assuming it takes that.
1d6 damage without armor.
Every round.
Bypassing armor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on your sheet. Right, because it's novice level. So every round they take 1d6 on your turn. We'll do it that way, okay? Because it will come into play. The as soon as Jor-El comes up and Oakgrill looks and he just beckons to you, like he has all the time in the world as he sees you try to cast the spell, and you hear him laugh, Jor-El Elarak, as you fail to cast Horiora, and and he looks at you and he shouts across that intervening space. Let's see if I could do better. And he has to make a resolute test to see if his spell takes effect. He waves his hands out in front of him and almost seems to collect some of the scintillating light around the group. And then he looks at Jor-El with a smile and blows it out. It races past out in front of him, and within the first 3 or 5 feet, it turns to fire. This boiling mass of fire that creates a line of fire through the hexes in this direction. Oop, let me write it. Jor-El, as you're standing there, he creates this wall of fire that blocks off Bo and Lirame from you and Lena. The fire leaps up between you. You can hear his laughter as that wall of fire bounds between you and Lirame and Bo. It tries to engulf the Goy as it springs into shape in this line, expanding line that expands in the space in front of you and goes up, 3 meters, 10 feet tall, and separates you and Lena from the rest of the company. The Goy, you need to make a quick test, and you need to tell me what side of the fire you wish to be on.
I will be on the burn side.
On this side over here.
The inside portion. Yeah.
Inside. All right. You bound out of this fire, the Goy, but you're not fast enough